And so here we are on that final part of configuring and launching an EC2 instance, the review, launch, and selecting or creating a key pair. So over in the AWS console, I am in step 7, review instance launch, right where we left off here. And obviously, when you take a look through this, the first biggest thing that's going to pop up is this big warning up here. And this big warning up here is complaining, rightly so, that right now this security group that we set up is allowing HTTP traffic from anywhere, and it's allowing SSH traffic from anywhere. Now, we're doing it like this for educational purposes, but it is nice that they show that up here. Just a little, hey, make sure you're intending for this to happen. And they go through here and they show you all of the other things that you've done. So it's always good to double check before you go ahead and launch these. Not that there's any big error, because terminating one takes a matter of seconds, but it's good to give it a once over just in case. So when we click launch though, we have one more step. Launch is going to ask us to select an existing key pair or create a new key pair. Well, you know that one way to SSH into a server is through password, right? Well, EC2 actually disables that by default on all of their instances. They want us to access via SSH, that we're not passing the password up and down constantly, which is very, very smart on their part. Now, traditionally, what we need to do is generate an SSH key pair, keep the private key for ourselves, and then manually move the public key over to the EC2 server. Make sure it has OpenSSH installed and all that jazz. But EC2 and Amazon, they actually go ahead and take care of that for us. And they use what are known as EC2 key pairs. And all an EC2 key pair is. So when I create a new key pair and I name it, let's call it EC2 US East 1. I already named one this, so we'll just call it 1.2. So it's the sequel here. And we name this. What this is going to do is it's going to give us the private key. And whenever we launch an instance and select this key pair, it's going to put that public key on that instance for us so that SSH is already ready to go. So that's actually what we're going to do here. Now you could just reuse the one that we made. So we could just go ahead and just select the one that we made earlier, the EC2 US East 1, but I want to show you the whole process. Now, if you do select proceed without a key pair, they go ahead and tell you that, hey, if you don't have this, you're not going to be able to connect to this instance. So let's go ahead and create another one. I'm going to just name mine the exact same, but add tag 2 to the end of it and download the key pair. And so this is going to download it once again. And then as soon as we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and click Launch Instances. And so this will go ahead and initiate the instance launch, view instances, and we'll see that it's in the pending state as it goes ahead and spins up. And while it's doing this, and by the way, we see that it's put it into a different availability zone here. While it's doing this, let's go ahead and I'm going to hop over to my shell here, where it turns out I'm still logged in to the previous instance. I'm going to go ahead and type exit to leave the old instance, clear just to make some space. And the first thing I'm going to do is move that new key that I just downloaded for me at least, it went to downloads. And I'm going to move that just to this folder. So now I have two keys here, the one that we used for the first server and the one that we used for the second. Well, to use this key, again, the first thing we need to do is close off the permission sum. If we run ls-la, we can see that this one's permissions are much more open than the other ones. And you can just, I'm not going to go into this, but this one right here is going to allow writing to it, and it's going to allow other parties to read it as well, which we don't want. So what we're going to do is run chmod. So modify the permissions to read only, and we're going to do it to this new key that we just downloaded. Now it is considered secure enough. So with that done, we need to add it to our agent here. Now remember, if you're not on Mac, omit this tag upperK, but since I am on Mac, I'm going to put that in. And this will put the key on our agent, and now we are equipped to SSH into that server. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. The second instance. We can see that its status checks are still, let me expand it here, initializing. But oddly enough, you can actually SSH into it as long as the instance state is running. So that's what I'm going to do. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to grab its public IP, specifically IPv4. We did not set it up with IPv6. Even though I'm on AT&T fiber, I don't even have IPv6. So in terms of IPv4 versus IPv6, that's going to come down to your organizational needs. But I do want to make it clear that inside of AWS, most things go down in IPv4. So when you set up endpoints in your VPC, when you connect to all of their different services, almost all of it happens over IPv4. So if you feel the need to I should hop onto IPv6, just keep in mind that IPv6 has been around for over a decade and it's still not fully adopted. So don't feel like you're behind if you don't have that here, but we're not going to cover it because it's another topic for another time. So with this public IP in hand, actually, instead of doing the IP, I'm going to use the DNS just so you can see that it's the same. Let me grab the DNS here. And over here, we're going to do the SSH EC2 user, because EC2 user is the default user created on the Amazon Linux 2 Amazon machine image, the AMI that we use to make this instance. And we're going to SSH at that DNS. And when we do this, we're going to see, oh, hey, you sure you want to connect? Yes, indeed, I do. And now we are in the second instance. And there we have it. We did the whole thing. Now you know why we did the quick setup first, because I wanted you to see this takes a matter of minutes once you understand everything. But if you're trying to step through all the options, and if you zoom in and take a look at all the details, there is a massive amount of things. There's a massive amount of ideas and thought that go behind EC2 and what you can do with it. Okay, so now we've got EC2 done and out of the way. Now we're going to do some useful stuff with it. I'm going to show you how to set up a node server in the next video, and then after that, we'll automate it. We'll make it so that you can automate the launch of a node server.